Hey everybody, it's the Techie Scrapper. Welcome back. This is my final check-in to the God of Malice that I completed, the first book in the Legacy of God series. So please stay tuned to hear my full review on this book. Thanks. Welcome. Okay, so here is my last check-in with God of Malice, the first book in the Legacy of God series by Rina. So I listened to the book on Libby as well as went along or listened along or read along in the book as well. The book is what, 553 pages to it. A lot of pages, but not a slow read at all. Everything kept moving at a normal pace, not a fast pace, but a normal pace. So I didn't feel like anything lagged or anything like that. Um, I will say, so I have the entire Legacy of God series, and when I got it, I had, of course, either it was a book talk or booktube. It may have been Laura, and I know she does a lot of booktube, so it may have been her videos that I watch. So I ended up picking up the series because from what she described, it sounded really good, and I like mobsters and stuff like that. I like mobster type stuff. Mobster. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, only in books. Let me clarify that. Only in books. Or you call it mafia romances. Anyway, so I picked up the series and not knowing a whole lot about Rina Kent's world at all, not knowing everything about it. So I started reading the book, and I may have mentioned this in another video that I may have been like 100 or so pages in, between 100 and 200 pages in, and I started to think, because they started bringing in and talking about the parents and started talking about some of the other families. Because at the beginning of the book, I think when I did the opening to this here book, I showed you the tree of the royal elites and of course the mafia side of the house in her series. And so when you're looking at that, I'm like, well, wait a minute, something's not right, because I don't understand a lot of how all these kids fit together. And so when I did a little more deep dive, went on the fandom and stuff like that, that's when people were like saying, hey, yes, these books are standalone, the Legacy of God series, but you want to read God of Malice first before you read the other books. That is very much a true statement. I will also add to that the kids are towards the end of Rina Kent's, I almost call it this whole royal mafia world. When I looked online, I think there was like 41. There's 41 books. Yeah, I think that like 41 total books. And so you have I'm going to look at my note cards here. You got the Royal Elite, which has 8 books. And this is where you get introduced to the King family, which is Levi and Aiden. You also get introduced to Xander Knight, Ronan Astor, and Cole Nash. So they're all part of this Royal Elite series, which when you're reading The God of Malice, a lot of these last names pop up to include Aiden King. Well, not Aiden King. It's not, I think it's Aiden. No, not this one. When you go on to the Kingdom Duet, that talks about Jonathan King and Aurora Harper, which are Glendon's parents. And they are in the Kingdom Duet. They're not even they may pop up in the Royal Elite, but as far as their story is part of the Kingdom Duet series. And so, and how they came together. And so then I kept doing even more diving, and there's Lies and Truth Duet. There's the Thorn Duet, the Throne Duet. Anyway, I had to stop writing because I had so many note cards. Anyway, at the end of the day, it looked like it was 41 books, and I'll double check that, and I might try to add that either to the video or to my description of this whole series. I say all that to say that there were times, especially towards the end of book 1, where they bring in the parents and how they interact with one another, who they are, not necessarily um, Glendon's side family tree and Killian's side of the family tree, those are still separate. But there's a lot there that I felt like there was a lot there that was missing that I didn't understand. And I think it's because, well, I know it's because I didn't read the other books. Um, Sometimes I hate when authors say books are standalones because when you write a world that big and you come in towards the end, because the Legacy of Gods is towards the end, there's another series of books that come, another series of stories that come after the Legacy of Gods, but there's so many books that come before it, and I feel like you don't get a full understanding um if you haven't read them. So I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about that. It's like jumping into the last book of Harry Potter and then trying to figure out, and I don't know what the last book of Harry Potter is. I'm gonna be honest. I've watched the movies. I'm trying to see if I can see the series on the shelf, and I can, but it's too far away. Um, anyway, it's like jumping into like the last book or two of Harry Potter and trying to understand that entire world. You can't. You will be lost. You'll be able to figure out who the heck are these people? Why? What are they doing? That's exactly what I was thinking as I was reading this book. Okay, so I say all that is to do your research. If that doesn't matter to you, then you're good. Because the Legacy of God series is about the kids. The parents are mentioned, the parents are talked about. I just feel like you miss really understanding the kids if you don't understand the parents. So that is my personal opinion. Anyway, back to the book. One, I think I rated this as like a 3 level for spice. And I base that a lot on the Camelot series. If you know, you know. That series was written by Sierra Simone. It is it's the King. Now why am I drawing a blank on this series? It's the Camelot. So it's called. I think it's the. Oh my gosh! Hold on. I need to really look this up. Okay, so I had to take a break because I need to go and get the books. So this is the book series that I was referring to. I don't know. Let me see. Anyway, it's called. Let's do it this way. So it's called American Queen, which is book 1, American Prince, which is book 2, and American King, which is book 3. And it's written by Sierra Simone. And that book, the spice, the smut, whatever you want to call it, was off the chain. So a lot of times when I'm reading some of these books, I refer back to that series as a guide. Anyway, so I give the God of Malice here one, about 3 on that. It picks up right off into it, so you don't have any lead in. You don't know why these two characters hook up or anything like that. And I will say, Rina Kent does do a really good job of telling you the trigger warnings and advising you to look at the trigger warnings before you read her books. And I advise that on all books like this, because there could be some things that can be triggering and traumatic. And if that's the case, then you should know that before you go into the book. So I will say, just if you go out to our website, she'll let you know that. And I think I read to you guys in the beginning that she does say that as well. She also said in the beginning how, Killian is up to his name. There is no redemption to this person. It's not going to be, oh, he meets Glendon and he is a changed person and he's, I keep messing with my hair because I just got it retied. So it's growing a lot. All right, back on track. Because I told myself I was going to stop going off track on my videos. Anyway, so she tells you in the beginning, he's not redeeming. There's not a redeeming quality in a sense to him. But as I'm going through the book and you're reading how their story unfolds and how at the end I felt like he kind of did. But then there's another part of me, again, this is going back to all of the books, where I think things are happening simultaneously in the different books in this series that I'm missing out on, I think, because I haven't read the other books yet. That's just the feeling that I got. It's kind of like I didn't feel that way when I read Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates series. Like in Magnolia Parks, you that was her story, and you knew things were going on, but you didn't feel like there's some pieces missing. Um, and I think that's what I feel like here. Like there's just they get to a certain part of the book where because basically what ends up happening is that someone dies, they unalive themselves, and that's how Glendon and Killian meet up. Throughout the story, somebody is sending Glendon these text messages about, really in reference to Killian, because they know that she's secretly seeing Killian and that they're trying to, I don't think they're trying to warn her, and that becomes very apparent as you read on through the book. But this person who's doing this has an ulterior motive. So when it comes down to it, because I'm trying not to give the whole book away, or I'm trying not to give away the plots and stuff. So I'm trying to stay broad, but still trying to give you something. Um, these two worlds are not supposed to meet. It's literally when you start reading the first few chapters, they're like across the pond for one another. You got, like I said earlier, in an earlier video, you got the Royal Elite University, which is where all the royal posh British people go to, and then across the way you got I think it's King's University, that which is where Killian and the mafia go to. It's like they call it new. I'm just looking in the book thinking maybe I may have had a section highlighted. Anyway, it's if not, I would have put it above just to make sure. I think it's King's University. It's new money. It's where all the Americans, mafia, just basically new money, not old money. So they're not supposed to meet up. They're not supposed to know each other, or I mean, they know each other, but they're not supposed to like each other. They're not supposed to want to hang out or any of this stuff. And well, now you got Glendon from one side of the tracks and Killian from the other. And so now these two worlds that were separate due to the parents, I think, because I haven't read the books, but I'm assuming, is now merging with the kids. So anyway, they're going through that, and then Glendon is, which this is not a trope, but it's kind of how they write a lot of female characters a lot of times in these books, and I don't agree with it, which is they're always small, tight, petite, short, and the guy's always tall and tall and massive, and the girl is just so little. And so that's how these two characters are. Glendon is not, she's short, petite, small. She eats, but she rarely eats. She doesn't eat enough. So you kind of get the feeling like, is she not anorexic, not bulimic, but you wonder like why, they allude to that she doesn't eat a lot. And then he makes sure that she eats. Okay. That she eats her food. Anyway. So that kind of thing always throws me in stories. I feel like it's like the female's like on a lower tier than the guy, as far as being able to defend themselves, take care of themselves. Like there's always this rescue type quality to it. But again, like when I read books, I go into with the enjoyment of it, and I try not to focus too much on that. For the reasoning behind why I read the books. To me, reading is just an escape. But anyway, those are just things I don't like, and it's always a constant thing in all of these books. All right. So if that bothers you, then you're probably not gonna like the books. And if it doesn't really bother you, then you might like the books. So anyway, there's just this whole power dynamic. And even when it shifts, she's supposed, they describe her, Rina Kent describes Glendon as this in her shell, quiet. She's an artist. Everyone in her family, her twin brothers, her mom, they're these big time artists. But Glendon isn't a big time artist, and she's always being compared to her brothers, but especially being compared to her mom. And so she grows up feeling like she's not important. She grows up feeling like she's kind of like inferior to her siblings and her family. And so it's just that whole power dynamic. And in the book, you see her move from that introvert to this strong female presence, which honestly, she gets her voice. I don't necessarily classify her as a strong female character, but that's just me. That is just me. Okay. So sorry about that. Set up a little bit. And then Killian lives up to his name in a sense of, but I didn't find, I think I expected a little bit more harshness compared to how, only based on how Rena Kent opened up the story talking about Killian. Like his nickname is Kill. And they talk about how vicious he is and how, if you make him angry and what he's done. They talk about an incident that happened when he was a kid and how people thought, and how his family was afraid of him and stuff like that. And towards the end, you start getting, because like I said, they bring in the parents, and the parents start, immersing in this story, his parents and her parents. And I'm like, okay, something must have happened on when Killian's mom and dad met one another, because there's a lot of alluding to that. And again, to me, it's alluding because I didn't read their story. So, okay. Um, so, but anyway, so, Killian felt that he wasn't, like, his father didn't like him, that he only liked his brother Gareth. And then, of course, he knew that his mom, it's just like that whole power dynamic. You got two sons, and the parents choose sides of who they like the best. And all based on non-communication. Body language is things says, but no real true communication going on. So the brothers kind of grow up hating each other, not liking one another, and Killian hardly ever comes home because he doesn't like his dad. And so it's that whole dynamic, but it's all stems down to lack of communication, open and honest communication. And so later on in the story, probably the last 100 and something pages, yeah, I would say last 100 pages, I want to say I was probably at 90 minutes when all that started to come out. I think I was at 90 minutes, not 90 minutes, 90% through the book story. 90 minutes, Lord. I was at 90% in the book when all of this started to come out, and how they resolved their issues. Killian resolved his issues with his brother Gareth and with his parents. Glendon saw a different aspect to her mom and saw that, okay, that her mom really loved her. She ended up giving her her own studio, because Glendon thought she got her own studio because her mom didn't want her and with her and her brothers. So she gave Glendon her own studio to be separated. But really, when you find out the story, her mom did that because she had this real talent, and she wanted her to nurture her own talent, and not pick up on, like, she didn't want her to be like her as far. She wanted her to be her own person, is what it was. But again, lack of communication. You don't find out till you're at the 90% mark of the book, which that's the audio version of 90%. So I'm not sure how many pages that was, to be honest. Yeah, I gave the book 4 stars. I'm not sure yet. It's not set in stone. I'm still, like, I finished the book yesterday, Wednesday, which was, I think, the 15th, I think, maybe, of October. If not, I'll put it up here in this white space. Yeah, so a lot of times I don't like to shoot the videos right after I finish the book. I like to ponder on it and think about it. I don't know. Like I said, I felt like things that were missing, and I can only again contribute it to the fact that I did not read that I didn't read the books on the parents. But I'm wondering if I read the books, let's say on Killian's parents and on Glendon's parents, will I better understand? I hope so. I don't know. I do have their story. I have the first book in their story. Um, yeah, but after this, I'm the type of reader. I read this book, Mafia, Smut, whatever. So I will be switching up to a different book. I really need to finish Zodiac Academy book 1 because I started it, and I told myself I'm not DNFing any books that I have purchased. Like, no. Now, it's one thing if I DNF a book that I borrowed from the library. But any book, whether it's an ebook, an audiobook, or a physical book, I am not DNFing it because I bought it and I need to read it. So, needless to say, that is a whole nother story because I am not I don't know. And anyway, that's another story, another video. I'll save it for then when I finish Zodiac Academy. All right. Anyway, which I think Awakening is the book 1. God of Malice. If you like mafia romance, yes. If you don't have an issue with trigger warnings, yes. If you don't have an issue with starting off a series with reading about the kids first, then okay. I don't really either because I have, Sophie Locke series, but I just feel like in this, like I feel like I'm really missing some stuff. And I think it's because I didn't read the books on the parents. So, but again, that's my opinion. I think it's a good read, even though it's 500 something pages. It doesn't move. I didn't find it to be a slow read. I thought it kept with a really good steady pace. Now, am I biased because I listened to it on the audio as I was going through it? Take that for what it's worth. Because if a book is slow, the audio is going to be slow. Period. Because it's reading the words from the book. Again, my opinion. So I thought it moved pretty quickly. I like it. I am going to read the other books in the series. Because now that I've read this one, I can go to and read the other ones, and it doesn't matter what order I read them in, because God of Malice introduced all of the siblings, the cousins, and things like that in this book. And then I think I might add the chart back in as well, so you guys can take a look at that too, and just look at how the chart breaks out. Because I think that chart is also helpful because it lists the parents. So if you are like me and you're wanting to know about the parents before you read about the kids, the chart that I'll add back in will definitely help with that. And I'll add that in at the end of the video. But I like the book. I said 4 stars. I don't know if it's going to stay 4 stars. I'm still pondering that. I'm going to go back through and look at the highlights, things that I highlighted, to see if I still feel that way. I'm leaning to like a 3.6, 3.7, just because I feel like everything, and like with most books, I feel like it rushed at the end, and I feel like there's segments that were missing out because there's like this big, huge fight that happened because somebody attacked Glendon, and so the boys, her brothers, and Killian and his brother and their cousins all went after these people. And I feel like when we got to that point, when Glendon was attacked, everything rushed. And so I just feel like it's just not like it's missing. Like things were edited out, and I can only think of maybe those other pieces that I feel like are lost are probably in the other stories that's connected to this Legacy of God series. So, yeah, that's just my take on it. I still think that no matter what, it's a good read. It was my first read by Rina Kent, my first book by her that I've read. So I'm very pleased by that. Me just stumbling over where I'm going to set it for star rating. It's just me. Probably need to do the cow pile. I think it's COWPILE method. Um, if you and I'll put it up above here. It there's a purpose behind that. It helps you get to a better, clearer understanding. It helps you get to a better star rating, honestly. And I'll probably put a picture or I'll label it up at the top, up above me, so you can see what I mean. I didn't invent that. I saw a video on it, and one of the ladies I watched, she uses that method when she gives her final ratings for the books that she reads. Anyway, good read if you're into mafia romance. If you're into that, and even though it's not a whole mafia romance, part mafia, um, enemies to lovers. There's more enemies to lovers kind of series anyway. Pick it up. Rina Kent. I picked it up in Barnes & Noble, but I'm sure you could pick it up in Books A Million or even your local bookstore. If not, order it online from your local bookstores. We don't have, where I live, we don't have any mom and pop bookstores, independent bookstores. I wish we did, but we don't. So I end up going to the big box stores because we have a Barnes and Noble and we have a Books A Million, and that's where I pick up my books. I try not to buy books off of Amazon. I have a thing about that, and I don't want to get into it. I'm a firm believer. Find an independent bookstore, purchase your books. If you don't have one or one isn't in close driving distance, if you got a Barnes and Noble or a um, Books A Million, even Target, even though I don't, anyway, I ain't gonna talk about Target. Do that. But I'm all about supporting your independent bookstores first. Okay. Anyway, pick up the book. I'll have my full blog review as well, that I'll add in because I did take some notes and things like that. And there's a couple of quotes I want to add in as well. So that'll be in my blog posts coming later. But the video, honestly, this video, by the time you see this video, it's probably going to be a day away since I shot it. So, because I think today's Thursday, so this video probably won't even go up till Friday. But yeah, so pick it up, review, or pick up the ebook. Hey, if you're an e-ink reader, whether it's Kindle or Box, or I think it's Books, Boox. Anyway, or Kobo reader. I know I'm missing some readers out there, but if you're one of those, then pick up the ebook and read it. I'm trying to think more of probably trying to do that versus adding more books to my library. I'm trying to be more mindful of my spending and what I spend my money on and books. So I'm trying to be more mindful of that. But yes, pick up God of Malice. See, I rambled on. Got to get back on point. Pick up God of Malice, whether it's in a physical copy or an ebook copy, or check it out from your Libby or Hoopla library. There you go. Support your local library. Check it out through there as well. I'm all about supporting libraries. I'm all about that. Libraries are important. So yes, pick it up, and I'll be back soon with another. Like I said, I'm gonna finish the book 1 in the Zodiac Academy series because I started it so long ago, and I own the physical book, and I refuse to DNF it, so I will finish it. But yeah, I'll be back with how that book goes, and I'll try to do another check-in. And everybody out there, stay safe, be kind to one another. If you can, try to find a little peace through all the chaos that is surrounding us. And just not just be kind to yourself, but also be kind and empathetic to and for your neighbor as well. Yes. So peace, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody, from the Techie Scrapper.